This video is sponsored by Fishstick Protocol, a chaotic 8-player co-op adventure through bizarre shifting dimensions. We'll tell you more about it later in the video, so for now, let's dive into the monthly.
Hello friends, and welcome back to another edition of the Co-op Monthly. With the year winding down, so too is this new series. Crazy to think we only have 2 more Co-op Monthlies left this year. Time flies when you're having fun, and we've had a lot of fun putting together this show for you each and every month. We still have a lot to look forward to though. I'm itching to play some RV there yet. We still have Marvel Cosmic Invasion coming, more on that in a bit, and I'm sure a couple more surprises between now and the end of the year. Until then, we've got plenty to cover today. From all the co-op games that came out last month, all the co-op games coming out next month, and any news in between, it's time for the Co-op Monthly for October. Let's get into it.
Thanks for that intro, bro. I'm going to start us off by rounding up all the reviews from October. First up is King of Meat, a co-op party platformer supporting up to 4 players online. You and your friends compete in a wild reality show, racing through community-built dungeons packed with traps and enemies. Over on OpenCritic, it's sitting at a fair 73, while Steam players are a little bit more positive, giving it a very positive rating from just over 100 reviews. GameRant wasn't as kind, dropping it a 5 out of 10 and saying the gameplay wears thin and the combat's a bit too simple. If you've jumped into King of Meat, let us know what you think down in the comments. Next up is one of the biggest titles of the month, Absolum. You might have heard of it through our channel, but I'm gonna spare you the self-promo since I already opened the review that way. It's an action beat-em-up with a roguelite setup that has you and one other friend saving the kingdom of Talam. It's from the team behind Streets of Rage 4, and for us at least, it was unsurprisingly great. As we mentioned on our review, the one real issue is some rough co-op tuning online, but if you're playing local, you can smooth that out with an accessibility option. Also, pro tip, you can turn off the rifts that make the game more difficult in the area below where you start a run. We also did not know that. That would have been great. Critics and players agreed with us though. The game sits at a mighty 86 on OpenCritic and a 95% overwhelmingly positive on Steam. All in all, I would say it's an absolute must-play this year, whether you're in co-op and especially if you're going solo. Releasing the same day was Little Nightmares 3, and honestly, I'd call this one a must-skip. It's the 3rd entry in the atmospheric horror adventure series, but under new developers and with the addition of online 2-player co-op. That is actually one of the main issues. This game really needed local co-op. What's left is a mostly boring and scare-free experience. If you don't want to take our word for it, it's sitting at a fair 73 on OpenCritic, which actually is not terrible by any means, but a mixed 50% on Steam, which feels a lot more in line with our thoughts. I think Gabe put it best when he closed our review by saying, "In the end, the scariest part of Little Nightmares 3 wasn't anything haunting the screen, it was the thought of playing any longer." My guy was absolutely cooking with that line. Cuffbust dropped on the 15th after a last-minute release date announcement. It's a prison escape proximity chat experience that looks as chaotic as you would expect, and one we were very close to diving into ourselves. Unfortunately, it came out of the oven a little underbaked. Steam reviews are sitting at a mixed 57%, with a lot of players saying it's fun but incredibly light on content, maybe an hour's worth at launch. The solo dev did drop the price from $20 to $10, but it's still something to jump into only if you know what you're getting, a good concept that needs more time to cook. Fellowship launched into early access on the 16th, and we've been covering this one on the monthly for a while now. If you missed it, it's a multiplayer online dungeon adventure that takes the raids from MMORPGs and strips out the bloat. It seems to be doing pretty well for itself, over 6,000 Steam reviews already and a mostly positive rating. From those reviews, it seems like a game best enjoyed with a dedicated group rather than queuing with randoms. We'll be keeping an eye on it, but we'll probably wait until there's a firm 1.0 date before it officially makes a chance to get on our calendar. That same day, we got the 1.0 release of Necesse, a procedurally generated mix of town building and dungeon crawling that has been quietly gaining steam for quite some time. It's sitting with very positive reviews overall and recently from thousands of players. This is one of those games you can mold into whatever you want, packed with systems and a ton of playtime, and with up to 5 players online or LAN co-op, it looks like something a group of friends could easily commit the next year to if that's your kind of grind. On the 21st, we got the reboot of Painkiller, a Doom-like revival of a series I personally hadn't heard of, but for longtime fans, it might be a bit of a disappointment. From the trailers, this looked like it was going to be a fast-paced, gorgeous co-op action shooter with unique guns and powers, and it was even published by 3D Realms, who usually can deliver, but critic reviews have it at a weak 62, and user reviews are sitting at a mixed 57% after about 500 ratings. DualShockers gave it a 6.5 out of 10 and summed it up by saying, Painkiller has some truly incredible weapons and powers, but not a lot to do with them. Apparently, they saw everything the game had to offer in one sitting, and with repetitive objectives, that's not great replay incentive. If Painkiller left you feeling a bit bummed, might I suggest RV There Yet, a co-op adventure about driving your RV home with your friends through increasingly dangerous situations. You can tell right away this game has a great sense of humor. The player avatars look like what I imagine the other end of the womp 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 adults in Charlie Brown look like. It's the same chaotic vibe as Peak, where it's all about physics-based puzzles, goofy challenges, and just hanging out with your friends. We still don't have a good name for this genre. No, I refuse to call them friend slop, maybe proximity chatters, streamer games, I don't know. But whatever we call them, they keep blowing up on Steam, and RV There Yet is the latest to do it, sitting at an 85% very positive from over 5,500 reviews. I don't know why, but October 23rd was absolutely packed with releases, so let's kick it off with Plants vs. Zombies Replanted. This is the HD remaster of the game that started the series, with a few small additions sprinkled in. Critics gave it a fair 76, with most reviews landing at around a 7, basically calling it a totally fine remaster, but nothing special. Fans are a little bit more mixed on Steam, with many smartly pointing out that you could still buy the original, which might actually be the better experience, at about a fourth of the price. Overall, it sounds like a remaster that got the job done, but without the extra love and care that fans were hoping for. One thing that I will say about this October 23rd smorgasbord, great tagline by me by the way, is that it has some serious variety. Godbreakers is a brand new 4-player action roguelite boasting slick, fluid combat and the ability to steal abilities off of your enemies mid-fight. Both critics and players are in rare agreement here. As of me writing this, so it very much could change, it's sitting at a fair 74 on OpenCritic and a 74% mostly positive on Steam. You almost never see those two numbers aligned, so that's kind of cool. DualShockers gave it an 8 out of 10, saying Godbreakers is awesome solo and a blast with friends. The roguelite structure combined with the slick, kinetic third-person action is a wonderful fit and hits a lovely flow state often. We've been drowning in roguelites lately. I mean, seriously, we're going to take a break, but this one definitely seems worth keeping an eye on. The next course on the 23rd buffet is Powerwash Simulator 2, which earned a strong 83 on OpenCritic and a mostly positive user rating on Steam. No surprise there, and mostly sticks to its guns, keeping that satisfying flow state cleaning loop while adding a few small upgrades to make it even easier to melt into. Like the original, it supports 6-player online co-op, but now it also includes 2-player local co-op, and we love to see that. Not much more to really say here. If you're into this kind of relaxing co-op experience, all lights are green to hop back in. As the 23rd continues, we move into the spooky part of the lineup, starting with the 1.0 release of Escape the Backrooms. This 4-player cooperative horror exploration game has you and your friends working your way through the titular backrooms, solving puzzles while getting jump scared right back to the start. We actually played this a couple of years ago, puts into perspective how long it's been into early access, and we had a great time. It's simple, but it does deliver genuine scares. The 1.0 update adds new levels, improved visuals, and overall polish. At $9, it's a great way to spend a creepy night online with your friends. Misery is a co-op roguelite survival game that aims to hit fans of both Lethal Company and Stalker, and yes, by watching the trailer you can totally see why. You and up to 5 friends explore bunkers and ruins across a radioactive wasteland with sneaky monsters lurking in the dark corners. It's sitting at a very positive rating on Steam after around 1,500 reviews, so if this kind of eerie scavenger style experience is your thing, definitely keep it on your radar. And finally, closing the 23rd's smorgasbord is, that is really hard to say. It is Dark Hours, a heist game turned horror survival experience for up to 4 players. It's got an overall very positive rating, though recent reviews are a little mixed with some players citing a few launch bugs. Hopefully those are isolated issues because this is the perfect season to check out something like this. There's no shortage of spooky co-op options right now, and Dark Hours looks like a solid one to add to your rotation. On the 24th, we saw the early access launch of Vane, a post-apocalyptic survival sandbox where zombies roam, civilizations are in ruins, and you're left to pick up the pieces. It's definitely a familiar setup, but it's already pulling in over 1,000 user reviews with a very positive rating, so there's clearly something here that's resonating. We'll be watching this one to see if it can carve out its own identity in an already crowded genre. Last up in the roundup is Escape Simulator 2. As of recording, it only has a handful of critic reviews, but they're very positive, mostly sitting at 8s and 9s, with users echoing that same enthusiasm. This sequel packs tons of rooms to escape from with up to 8 players, and it even includes an escape room builder for endless replayability. So if you love escape rooms or just solving puzzles and yelling at your friends when they miss the obvious clues that you would never miss, this is absolutely worth checking out.
With the year winding down, we only have a couple more co-op games to look forward to next month, so let's take a look. Biped 2 is a co-op puzzle platformer that sees you control these bipedal robots, hence the name. The game is built on a movement system that sees you control your left and right legs using the left and right thumbsticks respectively. It supports 4-player co-op both online and locally, and it's coming to Steam and PlayStation consoles on November 5th. Up next is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, the follow-up to Age of Calamity. Like the last entry, it delivers that signature Dynasty Warriors action packed with all your favorite Zelda characters. The first game filled in some of the story gaps from Breath of the Wild, and Age of Imprisonment looks to do the same, this time exploring what unfolded during Zelda's timeline in Tears of the Kingdom. Andrew is a big fan of the first game, and we'll be keeping an eye on this one, particularly to see if it runs better than its predecessor did on this new hardware. Stay tuned for some coverage on the channel soon. The game supports 2-player local co-op and launches exclusively for the Switch 2 on the 6th. The biggest release of the month is Call of Duty Black Ops 7. It's worth to mention here because you can take on the game's campaign with 3 of your friends via online co-op, and it doesn't sound like a tacked on mode either. It looks like each player will have their own separate character, and there's even a tease of some sort of endgame content that's like the big culmination for the co-op campaign. Additionally, for the first time in the franchise, global progression is coming to the campaign, meaning you can earn player and weapon XP, among other things, just by playing the campaign and have it transfer over to zombies, multiplayer, and Warzone as well. We had a really good time with the last Black Ops, but we're also having a lot of fun with Battlefield 6 right now. Let's see if Black Ops 7 can pull us away when it launches on all platforms bar the Switch on November 14th. Also out on the 14th is Where Winds Meet, an upcoming free-to-play open-world action RPG published by NetEase. The game features Souls-like action set in ancient China in the 10th century. You can tackle its campaign with 3 other friends via online co-op, as well as a range of group activities like dungeons and raids. Look for it on PS5 and PC. And lastly, let's talk Neon Inferno, a retro side-scroller meets gallery shooter with some absolutely killer pixel art. The game supports 2-player local co-op and puts you in the boots of Angelo and Mariana as you tear through the streets of dystopian New York City in the year 2055. Beyond the flashy visuals, this one packs some slick mechanics like a bullet time system and some really fun looking set pieces. On top of that, the game features multiple difficulty options, including a 1-credit clear arcade mode that sounds equal parts brutal and kind of awesome. If that sounds up your alley, check it out when it comes to Steam on November 20th.
Alright, it's time for a quick pause to thank today's sponsor, Fishstick Protocol. Let me break this down as best as I can. You and up to 7 friends will dive into strange, ever-changing dimensions to collect bizarre artifacts for someone called the Owner's Collection. One run might have you dodging killer plants, the next you're dealing with floating teapots and shifting gravity. It's complete chaos in the best way possible. Communication is key, so you'll be using voice chat, emotes, and even binoculars to stay in sync while you scavenge for whatever whatever weird treasures you can find. As far as I can see, sometimes those treasures just are a toaster. And the fun doesn't stop when you get back. First, you gotta go to the showers and clean off. The showers seem very weird and apparently a little bit magical. You'll actually display and arrange your finds to build out the classy museum-like space for the owner too. Just don't overstay your welcome. The owner is more interested in the art than you being there. Fish Stick Protocol is out on November 5th in early access, and you can check it out using the link in our description below. It's quirky, it's co-op, and it's worth a look if you and your friends love weird worlds and team play. Alright, back to the video.
We've got a solid amount of news to go over this month, don't we always? So let's kick things off with updates on released titles. Sadab, a culinary adventure, is an Overcooked-like indie title we checked out earlier this year on Steam, but now it's finally out on all consoles as of the 22nd. Currently, it only supports local co-op, but it looks like the team is working towards expanding that to online co-op in 2026. In a sad turn of events, development on Hyper Light Breaker is ending despite the game still being in early access. Speaking to GameDeveloper.com, Heart Machine delivered the news, but promised there's still a big update coming in January, with the overall intention to polish the title as much as possible before ultimately ending development. Like many others, we never fully clicked with Hyper Light Breaker, but after the recent overhaul, I was excited to see if they could turn the whole ship around. I hope this isn't their last go at it with a co-op title, and at least we have possessors to look forward to. We have finally carved out some time to check out Dying Light the Beast, and while we still need to beat the campaign, it looks like we have plenty to look forward to after that, with Techland revealing an 11-week roadmap of upcoming updates. Highlights include a new Game Plus mode, legend levels, nightmare difficulty, new weapon executions, and much more. Additionally, the team have revealed a community challenge titled Call of the Beast, which tasks players to complete objectives alongside the community in order to unlock rewards and cosmetics. We're having a pretty good time with the Beast so far, so I'm looking forward to seeing many more updates in the future. One of my favorite mechanics from the Outlast trials was the fact that the game would spawn an AI-controlled imposter that looked just like you or one of your teammates. In the first handful of hours, it was genuinely terrifying, as it was easy to miss that their username mimicked yours or your teammates, but it wasn't quite spelled right. It was a truly diabolical idea. But what if it wasn't an NPC and instead a real player? That's the new twist from Outlast Trials' latest Invasion update. This permanent PvP mode allows you to invade other players in an attempt to kill them before they finish their trial. I won't go into all the details here, but they've really thought this through to make it fair and fun for both parties involved. It's also a completely separate mode. I continue to think back to our time with Outlast Trials, so maybe this is the best excuse to dive back in. I am a sucker for a good invasion mode after all. In a new dev update, the team at Keen Games gave us some news on the upcoming Wake of Water update. It was originally set to launch this past month, but has now been pushed back a couple weeks to November 10th. The dev blog includes mention of other changes, from weapon overhauls to removing a loot exploit, but you can go read that on your own time. I'm hoping we get an update on how close the game is to 1.0 after the many sizable updates it's received. I'm very eager to jump back in and see how different it feels from launch when the 1.0 update finally drops. We got a brand new teaser trailer for Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora's upcoming From the Ashes DLC. The new gameplay trailer gives us a glimpse of the action, in third person no less, and ends with the news of a full gameplay walkthrough coming November 20th. From the Ashes launches on December 19th, the same day as the new Fire and Ash film it's inspired by, while the third-person mode launches a couple weeks earlier on December 5th. Ironically, I'm more excited for this DLC than the movie, as Frontiers of Pandora was actually a pretty fun co-op game despite some flaws. Check out our review on the channel if you haven't already. Risk of Rain 2 is the gift that keeps on giving, with the upcoming Alloyed Collective DLC set to launch on November 18th. This new DLC introduces 6 new stages, 15 new items, 2 new characters, and much more. The new characters look super unique, with Drifter making the jump from Risk of Rain Returns to the 3D sequel. His playstyle is all about repurposing junk you collect, and they really lean into how absurd that sounds in this trailer. The other survivor is Operator, who reminds me a lot of Engineer but more focused on drones. We hop back in to check out the previous Seekers of the Storm DLC, and I have a hunch we'll be diving back in to check this one out too. Loads of new updates in this section, with Starship Troopers Extermination receiving a brand new map and a new enemy as part of the Echoes of Sparta update. Alongside that, troopers can take on 7 brand new SOG missions too. Happy to see this one continue to receive updates. I always felt like Helldivers 2 largely overshadowed this game, but maybe not. If you thought the Mesa update was the last update for Peak, think again. In a short little teaser, the team announced the upcoming Roots biome, a new redwood-filled level coming on November 5th. Time to round up the squad again. We have to go back. We have to go back to the island, Kate. I mean, boys. Launching right in time for spooky season, Eyes of Hellfire debuted its Shifting Lodge update. If you don't remember, Eyes of Hellfire is a co-op gothic horror game inspired by tabletop games like Betrayal at the House on the Hill. Its new update revamps a ton of systems, adding in more variety, introducing a new character, and reworking the final boss encounter. I've been itching to try this one out, we just haven't found the time, but it looks like a ton of fun. The game is currently in early access on Steam. Check it out and its new update live now. And lastly, we have some news on 33 Immortals, who is the brand new Pride and Temperance update live now. This new update introduces 2 new weapons with the Glaive of Temperance and the Crossbows of Pride. Both look absolutely sick, and I'm dying to dive in and check out those double crossbows. Additionally, the new update adds in new objectives to the chambers in the game, adding in more variety besides just clearing the room of enemies. We both really enjoyed our time with 33 Immortals, and we're rooting for it to succeed. Please just launch on Steam and as many other platforms as possible, because otherwise it might be hard to fill some lobbies weeks after its 1.0 launch, whenever that comes.
And let's move on to the second part of our news segment, updates on upcoming titles. We're going to start off with the bad news first, a couple of delays, including both Tears of Metal and Witchbrook. Tears of Metal is awesome. We've played it already and are both looking forward to it. It sits right in the middle of a Venn diagram combining Dynasty Warriors style action, roguelite structure, and online co-op. Basically all things that we love. The game's been getting great feedback through player tests, but the team decided to move it into an early 2026 release window. Totally fine by us. We'll happily cover it when the time comes. That other delay, as I mentioned, is for Witchbrook. It was originally slated for a winter 2025 window, but has now been pushed to 2026. I'm honestly not very surprised by that. The game only has 1 trailer so far, and while it does look awesome, this game sounds very ambitious, and it's gonna need all the time it can get. I wouldn't be surprised if it even means another delay into 2027. I don't want to bring that into existence, and I kind of just did, so let's just all pretend that I never said that. We don't often get to cover leaks here, but a recent ESRB listing may have outed Aliens Fireteam Elite 2. That is a sequel to the original Fireteam Elite, which we covered back when it launched. Think Left 4 Dead, but set in the Aliens universe, and you're in the right ballpark. It wasn't necessarily a home run, but it was solid for what it was. We'd recommend checking it out, and we'll definitely be excited once the sequel gets officially announced. Next up is Starseeker Astroneer Expeditions, the ambitious follow-up to Astroneer. It's another cooperative space exploration game, but this time the focus is on working with not just your squad, but an entire space station of players. We got a surprise 16-minute gameplay reveal this month, showing off how all that works. You prep for missions at the station by building things like weapons or tools, then deploy to planets with limited oxygen to complete your tasks, like repairing equipment or gathering resources. It all kind of sounds like Helldivers 2, but significantly more chill. You'll visit different planets too, again, very Helldivers-like, and I overall think it looks pretty cool. Definitely one we're keeping an eye on for the next year. Ocean Keeper Co-op is an upcoming 4-player online co-op roguelike where you drill through underwater caves and fend off waves of enemies. It looks like there's a survival element too, where you protect a spider mech that gathers resources for you. All in all, I think it looks pretty interesting. Not a release date on it, but there is a demo available now. Friends, we did it. We finally got a release date for Marvel Cosmic Invasion. It's dropping on December 1st, easily one of the biggest launches of the holiday season. And that's not all. The last 2 playable heroes have been confirmed, Iron Man and Phoenix. Great picks to round out what was already a stacked roster. We played the demo earlier this month and loved it, not surprising since it's from the Shredder's Revenge team. Definitely circle this one as a must-play co-op title for December. And speaking of demos, this past month was another Steam Next Fest, which means tons of indie demos were available for free. We didn't have time to check out many outside of Cosmic Invasion, but we did want to highlight a few co-op standouts we think could be worth your time. If you do play any of them, definitely leave a review and hit the wishlist button if you enjoyed it. Both go a long way in helping indie devs attract publishers and funding. With that all out of the way, hopefully you had your pen or pencil out and jotted those titles down. Not going to go into any more details than that, just wanted to flash through a few of them, give you the basic details, and then move on into our final section.
We're light on new game announcements this month, but at least this trio of games are pretty interesting with one big surprise. Villainy is a social deception game, 3 magic words to get me to instantly check out your game by the way, supporting 4 to 10 player online co-op. In it, a team of heroes work together to complete objectives, but not everyone is after the same goal, as some players are hidden villains stoking chaos in every turn. But wait, didn't I just basically describe Among Us? Yes, this is pretty much an Among Us-like, but look, the art style looks awesome, the fantasy setting is cool, and the different classes seem like they could add an interesting wrinkle. Will I force the guys into playing this with me when it launches? The answer is yes. Aggro Crab is back at it with another co-op game after the massive success of Peak. For context, Peak was born out of a game jam Aggro Crab attended where the studio was split into 2 teams working on 2 different titles. Crash Out Crew is the second of those titles. Featuring a similar cartoon aesthetic, Crash Out Crew has you work together to ship packages in a frantic forklift-style party game. Is this the start of the forklift likes? Will this go viral just as Peak did? We'll find out when the game launches next year, maybe? No release date yet, so be sure to add it to your wishlist to keep up with the title. So the big surprise is Halo Campaign Evolved, which when you think about it maybe isn't that big of a surprise. This is a remake of the original Halo Combat Evolved, now with a shiny Unreal Engine 5 facelift. Aside from the visuals, the remake introduces new weapons, 3 new missions, and 4-player online co-op on top of the original 2-player split-screen mode. And maybe I'm bearing the lead here, but you've likely heard the game is coming to PS5, hence bringing the console wars to a decisive end. I'm actually pretty stoked about this remake. I grew up on PlayStation, so getting to play marquee Xbox franchises like Gears with Gears of War Reloaded, and now Halo via some improved remakes, I can't be mad about that. I've only played Halo in short sessions with friends or via multiplayer, so I'm excited to see the original story in full when Campaign Evolved launches sometime next year.
As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. A lot of effort goes into putting these monthly videos together, so if this one helped you discover some new co-op titles for you and your friends, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more co-op content. We've got plenty coming between these monthly episodes. In November, you can expect coverage on Dying Light the Beast, and of course, come December, Marvel Cosmic Invasion. I'm sure we're going to sneak in a video or 2 in between as well. And if you want to show some long-term support for the channel, head over to our Patreon for a few extra perks, and maybe share us with a friend. We're so close to that 100,000. We really want to hit it by the end of the year, but we'll see. I don't know. We're going to hit it soon. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and we're very excited about it. Either way, we'll catch you all on the next episode of the Co-op Bros.